Welcome back to the Friday Main Event Class 4A Region Preview Show. This is the second video in a series of 3 videos we're producing for Class 4A. Lee Teat, in the first video, we ran through Regions 1 through 4. This video will be covering Regions 5 through 8 again. This is a Friday Main Event. My name is Mike Molder. My partner is Lee Teat, and we do this high school coverage, labor of passion, isn't it, Lee?
Oh, yeah, labor of love.
Labor of love. So we hope you guys have enjoyed. We've covered classes 1 through 3. This is our Class 4A Part 2 preview show. And, Lee, we're going to get started with Region 5. Are you ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Ready to roll. Well, Region 5 was all about Springfield last year. Lee Teat, they won their region games by a margin of 25 points. The Jackets, Dustin Wilson, had him on a couple of years ago when he was in that state title game. Right. Great guy, passionate about his program.
He is. I tell you what, it's going to be interesting for me this year with the Yellow Jackets is how are they going to replace Fat Cat? He was a dangerous weapon, man. I mean, he was kickoff returns, wide out, get him the football in space. He was definitely a good athlete, so I'm a little interested to see what they do there, but I think he's got plenty coming back. I think they're used to winning, went undefeated in the region, like you said, 6-0, and I don't see any let up. I'll put them back at the 1 myself.
Well, they, like you said, Lee, there's a lot of production to be replaced. They did lose Brian Hayes in addition to Fat Cat. They lost a really good running back in Keith Jones, so that was probably 90% of last year's offense gone now. So, I mean, I think defensively they're going to be fine. They got a lot of good ball players back. Kevontae White will be leading the secondary there. And then Kavarius Smith, he's a sophomore league, but they're expecting a lot of things out of him at running back. Mickey Neal, Christian Trujillo. Is that Trujillo?
Trujillo.
Say it again.
Trujillo.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you said it. I never would have come up with that one.
Trujillo.
This is a smart one in the bunch if you hadn't figured that out yet. So, I didn't know how to pronounce that, Lee. I'll afraid of it. But he's a linebacker and a senior linebacker, but one of 7 starters back on that side of the ball. So I think the defense is going to be the strong point for Coach Wilson's squad.
So.
A lot to replace on offense, so.
It is quite a bit to replace. But, I like their offensive line. I think they're going to be fine. They got Austin Stiltner back, Trez Haley back, and then they got a sophomore wideout, Zarrell Boyd. It's a real deal. So I think they're going to be fine. I still like them at the 1. I think they're breeding the winning up there. It's in the program, and I don't see any let up.
And they've got games, Lee, at Wilson Central. They have Clarksville, Station Camp, and Marshall County all coming to them. In the last video, we were kind of intrigued by that Marshall County game. I think that's going to be a telltale sign of where this Jacket squad is, how they do against what I think will probably be a pretty good Marshall County squad.
I think so, too.
So they were 11-3 last year. They were knocked out by Haywood Lee in the semifinals, 49-14, the Haywood team that did go on to lose to Greenville in the state title game, but a good team nonetheless.
Right.
Second place in this region last year was Montgomery Central. Jeff Tomlinson, another really good coach, plays that double slot. That Indian squad, 10-2 last year, Lee. They were knocked out by Jackson Northside, 28-26, I think, in the second round. 6 starters back on offense, 2 on defense. How do you feel about the Montgomery squad?
Well, I'm not too happy with the Indians because they burnt me in the second round last year. I thought they'd beat Jackson Northside, so I ain't forgot it.
You ain't forgot it.
I tore my record up that week. But I think they're going to be fine. I really do. I think, like I said, I just think they're going to be all right, man. They got a sophomore quarterback, though. That'll be interesting to see. Logan Sykes. Be interesting to see how he steps up. But one thing that does concern me as well is I only got 2 returners on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's never a good thing. I agree with you, Lee. I don't. I think Creekwood may be a team that's going to take a leap this year. Springfield, they averaged 30 points a game, better than all their region opponents except for Montgomery Central.
Right.
Now, Montgomery Central was they actually lost a shootout 36-34 to Springfield. But the fact that they gave up 34 points last year, maybe the defensive woes aren't as bad as we were concerned about with two backs. Maybe that defense wasn't that good last year.
Maybe.
But I think Creekwood's going to be the team to watch. Though we had Houston Thiel on with us last year, Lee, and really impressed with that coach. He's 12-10 in 2 years at Creekwood. They were 7-4 last year. I think we got him on there toward the end of the season.
Right.
Really impressed with the job he's doing there.
I am too. Coach Thiel played there. He's passionate about that program, but man, he's got some really good players coming back in Danny Stansberry, tailback he's got there, and then also he's got Mitch Duke coming back, as a senior and a dual threat kind of quarterback. So he's got plenty of weapons. Right now, man, I think they're at the 2 spot probably.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lee. They run that spread option over there, and having a good dual threat quarterback like Mitch Duke is going to pay dividends, I think, for him again this year. And plus, he's coming back with a lot of experience. I think Danny Sansbury, as you mentioned, will have a big year for him again. 900 yards last year, 15 TDs.
Right.
I think all the cards are in place for the Red Hawks this year to make a run at this region title.
Right, with 7-7 too. Is even coming back. 7 on offense, 7 on defense. So that's always a plus. And I think they were last year. We kind of had them on the come up.
Had them on the radar, didn't we?
And I think they're going to still continue to get better.
I do too. They've got Dixon County, Camden. They've traveled to Harpeth, and then they've got Sycamore on that non-region schedule. I don't think we mentioned Montgomery Central. They have Sycamore also, West Creek, Clarksville Northwest, and Harpeth. So these teams, Lee, I don't really think they really scheduled that difficult out of region. Is there a reason why they did that, or is that just the way the schedule worked out for them?
Maybe just the way the schedule works out for you. Some of this too, man. 4A, 3A, you're looking at fan base, travel, gate.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to build a program, so, Sycamore, Dixon County, Harpeth, that ain't a long haul for them. It's probably pretty smart, to be honest with you.
Right. Lee, Portland was the 4th place team, Greg Kavanaugh's team, I think, probably take that 4th spot again. And the reason why I say that, they got 8 starters back on offense, 5 on defense. What's your thought on the Panthers?
It'll be interesting to see because the White House team we got just outside, I think, behind them. There's no love lost between those two teams at all. That's a huge rivalry game for the two in region. But the test for Portland to me is going to be Trousdale County. We'll see what they're made of when Trousdale County shows up.
At least they don't have to go to the creek bank. They get them at home, so that's a plus. But yeah, that'll be a challenge for them. We like Trousdale in our top 5 in 2A, Lee. So definitely not an easy win for them if it's a win at all. They've got another pretty good 2A team in Forest that they travel to. So yeah, I think they got a potential for a couple of non-region wins here, and then if they get to 3 wins again this year in region play, you're looking at possibly a 7-win team here.
Be interesting. White
House, the other team you mentioned, Jeff Porter, after 31 years, steps down. Ryan Hamilton, who was his offensive coordinator the last 8 years, Lee, takes over that program. They were 6-4 last year. You remember they had that huge turnaround going winless one year, and then 2 years ago they went undefeated in the region. The biggest single turnaround I think I've ever seen in from one season to the next.
I think so. Coach Hamilton, he's been on that staff for 16 years, offensive coordinator for the last 8. So very familiar with White House, very familiar with the program. White House, one thing that's kind of hurt them a little bit too is you got White House Heritage right there. And then they got a couple of private schools around the area that's come in. It's pulled a few players from them. But, I'll tell you what, I think they'll compete for the 4 spot. I really do. I like Logan Newfield, a wide receiver that's coming back. And then they got Kevin Tate, who's another senior wide receiver. But, boy, they graduated a bunch, man.
And they got a young quarterback. Raymond Blackburn comes in, sophomore quarterback. Will Blackburn will be the running back in the backfield. They expected to contribute a lot to that offense. So yeah, I agree with you. I think White House and Portland in all likelihood compete for that 4th spot. What about your alma mater, Greenbrier? How do you see them doing?
Man, I'd just like to see them get into the playoffs, but
They got any Lee Teats on that team?
I hope not. They do. They're in trouble. Man, I like Coach Elmore, but where do you go in this region right now? How can you move up?
Yeah,
is the problem right now for him. I think he has some talent, but probably not enough talent. I don't know, buddy.
Don't know about it. White House Heritage are kind of in the same boat, aren't they? 1-9 last season, 0-6 in region play. Stinson Dickerson does have a lot of kids back, 7 on both sides of the ball. Daniel Evans, a big offensive lineman. He along with Yurda, they're 2 kids up front. They're expected to lead that line. I think they're kind of in the same boat as your Greenbrier Bobcats, Lee. I don't know if there's any position for them to move up to, even if they do improve as a team. Now, they do have Middle Tennessee Christian. They have East Robertson. My understanding is East Robertson's starting quarterback, really good quarterback. He's out for the year, I heard on Coach T the other day. So potential win there, unfortunately, because of the injury. And then you've got Sycamore and Westmoreland rounding out that non-region schedule. So I don't know. They may pick up a couple of more wins this year, but I don't think they move up any in the region.
I don't either.
All right, Leila, let's move on to Region 6. 6 teams, no new coaches in this region. This region, Lee, and I've said this, I think, for 2 or 3 regions, but this may be the hardest one to – I mean, there's a lot of hard regions to pick.
It's tough.
It's very tough. It's very balanced, man, and there's no – I don't think there's no outside of maybe Greenville. There's no team that you're just like, wow, nobody's going to beat them.
Right.
And this region kind of goes along with that pattern. Jackson Northside, they've got a lot of talent back. They don't have a lot of returners back. They got 5 starters back on both sides of the ball, Lee, but they do have 3 preseason All-State kids coming back.
Well, I like Coach Powell. Went 8-5 in his first year. He's familiar with Jackson Northside. Jackson, anybody that's been around the Jackson area, they got tons of athletes.
Yeah.
And I think Northside has plenty of athleticism. Like you said, they're only returning 5 on each side, but they've got 3 preseason All-Staters returning. Anytime you got that, you're in the ball game. So I like them at the 1.
Yeah. Jason Sneed, Haynes Holt at running back, preseason All-State team. DeCallan, Genesee. I was waiting on you. I was hoping you was going to jump in there and grab that one.
Safety. A really good one, too.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was Genesee, so that's why I didn't want to say it. You know my pronunciation. I think I had 2 moms that contacted us after our region previews last year and giving me down the road about mispronouncing their kids. Now, I'm sorry. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. But
yeah, we've only pronounced
that's what I got.
50 kids,
Yeah, that's what I got Lee Teat for. He can at least take the blame if we do have it wrong.
That's right.
And Lee, Jackson Northside, they got Beach, Haywood, Bolivar Central, Dyersburg, and they got Kenwood as non-region games. And Beach, man, we really like them in 5A. So Northside didn't run it high. They got a pretty tough non-region schedule.
Sure do.
All right, moving on down, Lee. Jackson Southside was the second-place team last year. The Hawks, Tyler Reeder is 19-13 in 3 years there. They were knocked out by Springfield in the second round, a close second round, low-scoring 13-6 game. 10-2 last year. They went into that final week of the season. If you'll remember, against Jackson Northside, they were 9-0. If I remember correct, going into that Jackson Northside game, and Jackson whooped them pretty good, Lee. What do you think about the Hawks this year?
I don't think they'll be 10-2 again. I don't. I think they'll slip a little bit. Region play, maybe the 3 or the 4 spot is what I'm looking at, but I think their out-of-region play is going to affect their overall record, but it may help them if they get into the playoffs, because they got Peabody, Union City, and Haywood, and then University School of Jackson. So, they got a very tough out of region schedule, trying to get ready for the playoffs. but I think they slip a little bit this year in the region.
Yeah, Terrell Turner's back at cornerback, senior. Actually, I got a very veteran secondary there. Harold Ingram also back at safety. So you got, and then they got Vincent back, also another safety. So I think defensively they're going to be pretty strong against the pass, Lee Teat, with all that returning talent on that side of the ball. You got to wonder how they're going to be up front. Will they be able to stop the run? And the flip side of that, are they going to be able to generate points with only 4 starters back on offense? And you don't really see any playmakers back in the players to watch list either.
Right.
Provided by Donovan Stewart, by the way.
Right.
But I like Southside to make the playoffs, but I agree with you. I think they drop a little this year. Hardin County, a really good-looking team. The only 2 losses were to the Jackson directional schools we just mentioned, Lee. I think they lost by an average of 10 points. But the upside of them, they've got a lot of kids back. They got 6 back on offense, 8 on defense.
Got Rivers Hunt coming back, quarterback. He's a junior. Hudson Wolf, preseason All-State or tight end D-line. And then Bradley Gooch, who's also preseason All-State. Anytime you got that, that's a good thing. I look for Hardin County to make a little noise.
I think so, Lee. I like them to jump Jackson Southside, and I think they'll be competing for that second and third spot. Chester County had that 4th spot last year, Lee, but they only bring 3 back on offense, 4 on defense, and to be honest with you, I think they probably dropped this year. I'm kind of looking at them as a whole and what they got coming back. Steve Robinson, 2-8 in his first year there. Good enough to secure a playoff spot by beating Lexington, but I think you got to look at Lexington as probably going to jump them in the playoffs. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree with that. Reason being is Lexington's returning 8 on offense and 7 on defense, and like you said, they played everybody close last year except for Hardin County.
That may be one of those matchup situations we're talking about. It was a bad matchup for them. I don't know.
I definitely could see Lexington slipping in there and getting into the playoffs and picking up a few more wins, maybe.
Well, you look at Coach Hollingworth's record. He's 90-42, Lee, in 11 years there. They averaged 9 wins a season in the 3 years leading into last year. And like you just said, they were in every region game with the exception of Hardin County. So I think with 15 starters back and they got Braxton Grice back at quarterback. They've got several key components in that season last year back, and so you see that the coach is successful. You see he's got a lot of talent back, and you see that they were competitive last year. That's 3 ingredients you look for a possible region champ, maybe 2. I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to move up, Lee.
2 or 3.
I don't know that I'm ready to put them ahead of Jackson Northside, but I'm dangerously close of predicting a 5th to first place finish for them. What do you think about that?
I'm interested to see that Milan game. They go to Milan.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, non-region game. South Gibson, Decatur County, Riverside, and like you said, that Milan game. They got Crockett County. They got McNary Central. Being that it's a small region, they have a lot of non-region games.
Right.
I'm really liking this Tiger squad, man.
I definitely think they're going to be competing for the 2 spot for sure.
I was seriously debating on pulling the trigger on them. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Hardin County is going to be a lot better too, Lee. I think Northside, Hardin County, and Lexington. I think those 3 teams are going to be so close. Any one of those 3 could win this region. I'm going with Northside, but I like those other 2 teams a lot.
Right.
You buying that?
Yep.
All right.
What about Liberty Magnet?
They
come in, right?
Well, they were 1-9. I'm sorry, I failed to mention them. 1-9, 1-4, Lee. 7 starters back on offense, 4 on defense. What's your thoughts on them?
Like you said, where do they go? Where do they move up here? Who do they beat? Went 1-9 last year, 1-4.
Maybe Chester County. I think Chester County's going to drop off. Of course, I say drop off. They were 2-8 last year. I think Liberty moves ahead of them.
They played Lexington close last year too.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
But we think, obviously Lexington's going to be much improved this year. I don't see anything happening, brother.
Yeah, I'm with you. Matter of fact, I just now noticed that I think Liberty actually beat Chester County last year, so they wouldn't have been the bottom team anyway. I didn't read my notes right, or no, the tiebreaker got them. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Chester County with 2 wins won the 3-way tiebreaker.
That's right.
That's crazy, isn't it?
You had 3 teams, 1-4 in the region.
Yeah, 3 teams, 1-4 in the region. That's right. I knew I had them. I thought I had them ordered correctly. So Liberty did beat Chester County last year. I think they beat them again. I think they contend with Chester County for 5th spot.
Yeah.
How's that? That ain't moving up much, but
no.
it's moving up. Lee, let's move to Region 7 now. And Region 7, another, I think, top-heavy region. I think Dyersburg and Haywood County, you would have to put those two. That was your first and second last year. I think you would have to assume they'll be in those 2 spots again this year. Would you?
I do. Bart Stowe, man, he runs that wing tee to perfection down there in Dyersburg. Went 12-1 last year. Lost a semi or a state runner-up in Haywood in the 3rd round. And he's got several kids coming back. 2 preseason All-Staters, and I tell you what, this is going to be interesting too. This region, I think it's going to come down between them and Haywood County.
How do you explain that? What happened last year, Lee? Now Haywood fell to Dyersburg by 34 in the first matchup, and then they knocked them out in the postseason by 33. You're talking about a 67-point swing, one game to the next. How do you explain? How does that even happen?
I don't know.
There had to be some circumstances there. Well, which one was more indicative of what we're going to see this year? I mean, obviously there was a substantial difference in those 2 games, but which one do you think was more relevant to what we're going to see this year?
I think the last one, to be quite honest.
So you like Haywood to win the region then?
I do.
Okay.
But there's a particular reason I do.
Okay.
Because I think Chris Smith, who come in from Germantown, is a real deal coach.
Murphy's in love with him, I've heard.
He is the real deal coach. Yeah. No, I'm not taking anything away from Coach Hookfin.
Yeah, I'm a Hookfin fan.
Guy.
I did
too. But I think Chris Smith will bring some stability to the program. I don't think he's going anywhere. And I think you can count on him week in and week out. He's going to play everybody every Friday night.
Was that a peculiar move to you to drop from a 6A Germantown down to take over a 4-way Haywood team? No,
it's not.
You think there's more chance of sustained success at
Absolutely.
Haywood?
Absolutely.
Was that the reason for the move?
I think Haywood County, man, they have tons of athletes down there around Brownsville. That's a lot of good players, a lot of good athletes in that area. And I think he can get into this Region 7 and make waves. I really do, with the amount of talent they have.
I mean, he had to know something, because I don't know. I would think it's maybe a small money drop. I would think going down 2 classes. I don't know, but I thought that was kind of, typically you don't see coaches voluntarily leave a high.
Well, unless you, like we said, well, look at what Coach Rankin did. He left a 6A program and went to a 3A.
I think
talent though, he didn't take a drop off.
Yeah.
I think you're probably seeing the same thing right here with Coach Smith. I think he's going down to 4A, but I don't think he thinks that that's a step down as far as what kind of talent he's going to be coaching.
That may be true. I'll give you that. And Comcast, they bring back 5 stars on offense, 3 on defense, Lee, and they've got a couple of preseason All-Staters. They got Andrew Reed, the safety, as a preseason All-State, and Josh Owens, defensive lineman. They've only got 3 back on that defensive squad, Lee, but along with Darian Williamson, I mean, they got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, and they also got Kendall Bond, who's a preseason All-State or offensive line coming back. So, man, I don't see much let up for Haywood County. I don't.
Well, they did lose to Courtney Reed, the running back, stud running back, and then they lost Hines at quarterback also. So those kids, they were really the only kids when we were up there in Cookeville that were able to generate any offense against Greenville. So I think defensively, Haywood is going to be solidly. I think they're going to have to find some playmakers on offense.
I think you're right.
So we like Haywood. I think Haywood and Dyersburg, that's kind of a 1A, 1B type deal.
I do too.
I'm really kind of afraid to pick that region. I think those two teams are going to be fighting for it. They're very close from a talent standpoint, though. Lee, moving on down Crockett County, the Cavaliers, Kevin Ward squad, they were 6-6 last year. 28-12, they dropped second round loss to region rival Dyersburg. This was another region that swept Region 8. Region 8, absolutely horrible. We'll get into that here in a minute. But Chester County, 5 starters back on offense, 6 on defense. Lee, what's your thoughts on the Cavaliers?
Coach Ward, he's been there 8 years now at Crockett County. He's 50-30. What did he go, 6-6 last year?
Yeah.
He's got to find a way to generate region wins.
Mm-hmm.
And we just talked about the talent level above him. Crockett County may be one of those issues where, like we talked about, they get a special class once every 4, 5, 6 years coming through.
Right.
And I don't know that they're there right now.
Luke Pratt is a preseason All-State. I believe he'll play quarterback for him, but I think he made the preseason All-State team as a punter. He'll be an asset to them. And then they got a couple of good linebackers in Josh Owens and Nate Sarver back as well, Lee. So I think they're going to at least secure that third spot, I do believe.
I agree.
And then we're looking at Ripley, who finished 4-8 last year. They were also 1-3 in region play. They lost to Haywood County 49-3 there in the second round. Again, this was region against region in the second round. The Tigers, a lot of starters back, 6 on offense, 9 on defense. What's your thoughts on them?
They got a senior quarterback coming back, Hunter Crowder, and then Cortarian Moore is the tailback there as a junior. So they got some building blocks, but there again, I don't see them advancing, any further in the region. I think they're a 4 spot.
Well, they've got Jackson Southside, Dyer County, Covington, Millington, and Lake County as non-region games. Maybe a couple of wins there I could see potentially. But I don't think they move into the playoff spot this year, Lee. They may, because it's only a 5-team region.
Right, yeah.
But that's the only reason why I say that. And the reason why, and then O'Brien County with 6 starters back on offense, 4 on defense. Heavy senior graduation. They lost a lot of seniors. So I don't know if they move out of the cellar or not, Lee. I don't expect them to. Do you?
No, sir.
All right, and that's Paul Decker's squad, the Rebels, and that's Region 7. So to recap, we like Haywood and obviously Dyersburg to compete for that region title again this year. Moving down to Region 8, Lee, 4 teams, 1 new coach. Memphis East dropped out of this region. They dropped all the way down to 1A. Bolton dropped from 5A down to 4A. But this region, I just kind of mentioned, only 4 wins out of 28 non-region games last year, Lee. They had wins against each other. That's really about all they had. I think one of those losses was actually a forfeit. I think Fayette Ware got a forfeit win against Giles County. So only won 3 games on the field against non-region teams out of 28 games. That's not good.
Man, it's always been a problem for me anyway. 4-7 going in as a 1 seed into the playoffs.
And then
I don't know what the answer to that is, but it does drive me nuts.
Well, you had a Memphis East team, Lee, and we talked about it in 1A. They scored 6 points all year. They were shut out 9 times, and they were a playoff team. I mean, the TSSAA has got to fix that. That is absolutely ridiculous. I would rather them just pencil in a forfeit win in the first round and make a team risk an injury playing a team that scored 12 points all year.
Like I said, I just don't like it. But anyways, so Millington went 3-0 last year in the region with a 4-7 overall record, which means they got 1 outside of the region win.
Mm-hmm.
And was that a forfeit because of Giles County?
No, that was Fayette Ware that won the forfeit.
Ware.
I don't remember where Millington's non-region victory was, but you're right. They got 1. They beat the other 3 region teams by 28, so I expect them to dominate this region again, but, like we said, it's really not a very good region. Millington does have 6 starters back on both sides of the ball. Tommy Clifton at quarterback, Devin Knight at linebacker, Marquise Flowers, the offensive lineman. They got a lot of kids back, but you got to question, whether they're going to be able to pull any. They'll probably have a lot of region wins.
I think so.
They'll probably have 3 region wins, but they got Liberty, they got Munster, they got MLK Prep, North Point Christian, Tresvant, FACS, and Ripley.
Right.
So, I think they're going to get probably going to get more non-region wins this year. But the thing about it is, like you said, they're going to be going against the 4 seed in Class 7A, and I don't think they have a very good shot of winning that game.
I don't either. And hopefully people that are watching the show, we're not trying to take anything, I promise you, away from the kids.
No.
Those kids are out there every Friday night competing,
no
and they're practicing, but it's just this region is just not very strong.
It's not very strong, and we hate to see the bad matchups in the postseason. That's our complaint, really. But, I don't know what you do about that. Craigmont, the Chiefs, they finished second last year. Cecil Van Hook's 3-8, 2-1 in region play. Lee Teat, they got beat 48-12 by Crockett County. That's kind of what we're talking about.
Right.
A third-place team in the other region. 5-5 back. Jeremy Braden, the offensive lineman, along with Michael Cashall at running back. So a couple of kids back. Did the Chiefs do anything? More of the same?
More of the same. Second spot, probably.
I think so. Fayette Ware, 3-8, 1-2 last year. They got shut out by Haywood in the first round. They've got a lot of kids back, 7 on offense, 6 on defense. You look at their non-region schedule: Chester County, North Point Christian, Scottsdale, Kingsbury, Bolivar Central, and then Memphis Overton, along with FACS. Maybe win. Possibly 2 there.
I think they might. There's a possibility they take the 2 spot.
Possibility
to take the 2 spot.
Well, they got more kids back, so
yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. But again, what's it going to get you?
Right.
In all likelihood, a first round loss to a different team. So,
right.
And I know I'm sounding terribly negative about this region, but it is what it is. Bolton Lee, as we mentioned, moves down from Class 5A, and that doesn't really make your region any more solid. They were an 0-10 team in 5A, 7 region losses, but they do have a new coach, C.J. Marshall, young guy, man. Lee, he's 26 years old, 2011 grad, and that may be a situation kind of like what you were saying with Ballou. He may be able to get some players in there, given that he's in that age range to where he can relate to them.
Right. Well, one thing I like is he's got a Elvis Simpson sophomore quarterback he can build on.
Yeah.
And one thing's for sure, he's going to the playoffs.
That's true. He's going to get 11 games anyway, isn't he?
That's right.
They've got White Station, FACS, Houston, St. Benedict, Crockett County, North Point Christian, and St. George is their non-region schedule. I don't know if there's any wins in there or not, Lee, possibly. But I think this region probably plays out about the same as it did last year. I think Bolton takes that Memphis East spot.
I think so.
Based on what we can tell over here in Middle Tennessee anyway.
Right.
All right, Mr. Lee Teat, that's going to conclude our Class 4A Part 2, Regions 5 through 8. We hope you enjoyed this preview show. Next up for you guys will be our Class 4A Top 10. Lee Teat and Mike Molder, as always, we're sponsored by CoachT.com. Jim Thompson and all the guys over at Coach T host the greatest website, in my opinion, high school football website. And it's not only football, Lee. They got all sports. They got soccer, baseball, basketball. If there's a high school sport out there, you can find information about it at CoachT.com. So we appreciate Jim Thompson and his group doing all they do for us. So for Lee Teat, I'm Mike Molder, and this has been the Friday Main Event Class 4A Part 2 Preview Show. We'll see you guys next on the Top 10 Show.